Welcome to Lesson 6b, the Hugoniot equation and curve. In this lesson, we'll derive the Hugoniot equation and discuss it. Then we'll simplify it for an ideal gas, and we'll plot this Hugoniot equation on the same Mollier diagram that we plotted previously for Fano and Rayleigh curves. The plot of the Hugoniot equation is the Hugoniot curve. First, I'll go through the derivation. This Hugoniot equation applies across a shock, and you can think of it as an alternative way to analyze normal shocks. The Hugoniot equation emphasizes thermodynamics rather than fluid mechanics. We'll use the same conservation equations that we used previously across a normal shock. We'll start with conservation of mass, where for a one-dimensional flow approximation, we have ρ1 v1 equal ρ2 v2, which I'll rewrite in terms of v2. It's v1 ρ1 over ρ2. I'll call that equation 1. And as usual, 1 is upstream of the shock, and 2 is downstream of the shock, with the flow here being from left to right, and we're in a stationary frame of reference. This is a stationary shock. Now consider the linear momentum equation. We had P1 plus ρ1 v1 squared equal P2 plus ρ2 v2 squared. Let's call that equation 2. Let's plug equation 1 into equation 2 and rearrange. We have the same left-hand side, but we'll plug in 1 for this v2. So on the right-hand side we get P2 plus ρ2 ρ1 over ρ2 v1 quantity squared. I'll call that equation 3. Now let's solve this equation 3 for v1 squared. We'll combine these two terms. So we have v1 squared, ρ1 minus ρ2, ρ1 over ρ2 squared, equal p2 minus p1. And I'll leave out the rest of the algebra. We get finally v1 squared equal p2 minus p1 over ρ2 minus ρ1, ρ2 over ρ1. I'll call this 4a. Notice that it's v1 in terms of pressures and densities only, no other variables involved. Similarly, let's write equation 1 in terms of v1 instead of v2, and plug that into equation 2. And after some very similar algebra to what we did here, we get v2 squared equal p2 minus p1 over ρ2 minus ρ1, ρ1 over ρ2. And this equation I'll call 4b. Again, speed as a function of only pressures and densities. And you can see the reciprocal of the densities here as the only difference between these two equations. Now apply conservation of energy. We know that the flow is adiabatic across the shock with no power terms or heat transfer, etc. So as we've been writing, stagnation enthalpies are equal, and we can rewrite this in terms of specific enthalpy H1 and H2 and V1 and V2. But recall from your thermo class that specific enthalpy H is specific internal energy U plus P over rho. And don't confuse specific internal energy lowercase u with the x component of velocity. These are thermodynamic variables. So this equation combined with this one becomes U1 plus P1 over ρ1 plus V1 squared over 2 equal the same thing on the right-hand side, but with subscripts 2. And let's call this equation 5. Now let's plug equations 4a and 4b into equation 5 and do the algebra to eliminate speeds v1 and v2. The algebra is a little bit involved. It's almost a whole page on my notes here, so I would recommend that you do this on a cold, rainy night. You should end up with u2 minus u1 equal p1 plus p2 over 2, 1 over ρ1 minus 1 over ρ2. This is the Hugoniot equation, which I'll call equation 6, but I'll call it 6f, where f means fluids, because this is the form of the Hugoniot equation that fluid mechanics people like in terms of densities and pressures and internal energy. Now some comments about the Hugoniot equation. For our first comment, I'll ask the students, what major approximation did we not make in deriving this Hugoniot equation? Is it the isentropic approximation? Well, that's right, BJ, but we already know that flow across a shock is not isentropic.
I don't believe we've made the ideal gas approximation yet.
Right, Boris, that's the answer I was looking for. We never made the ideal gas approximation, which means that this Hugoniot equation is valid for any gas, even a non-ideal gas. Thus, the Hugoniot equation is extremely general. My second comment is that there's no Mach number in the equation. In other words, the Hugoniot equation is a thermodynamic relationship across a shock. Again, we're thinking in terms of thermodynamics rather than fluid mechanics. Another comment is that thermodynamicists prefer specific volume instead of density as their state variable, where specific volume is just the reciprocal of density. So we can rewrite equation 6 as U2 minus U1 equal P1 plus P2 over 2 times V1 minus V2. I'll call this equation 6T, where T stands for thermo. This is still called the Hugoniot equation. In fact, it's more commonly written this way rather than this way. Continuing with our comments, all the variables are state variables. And again, recall from your thermodynamics class that any state variable can be expressed as a function of two other state variables. Here, in common thermodynamics variables, we know that U is a function of P and V, or in fluid mechanics variables P and ρ. This function itself depends on the equation of state for the gas. So equation 6T is of the form a function of P2 and V2 minus a function of P1, V1, and then on the right-hand side we have a function of P1, P2, V1, and V2. Or in general, we can write P2 as a function of P1, V1, and V2. Again, this is a general equation, and this function depends on the equation of state of the gas. If we know this function, we can plot the Hugoniot equation on a PV diagram. Pressure as a function of specific volume, which is what any good thermodynamicist would do. This would generate what we call the Hugoniot curve. I'll sketch it here on a PV diagram. And we don't know the exact shape here, but we know that it must go from 1 to 2 across the shock, from left to right, since P2 is bigger than P1 across the shock, and V2, which is 1 over ρ2, has to be smaller than V1, which is 1 over ρ1, since we also know that density increases across the shock. So if we start at some known state or given state 1 upstream of the shock, P1 and V1 are known, therefore the Hugoniot curve represents the locus of all possible states downstream of the shock, which we can interpret as various shock strengths. This is our interpretation or definition of the Hugoniot curve. Starting at point 1 upstream of the shock, as we move along this curve, the shock gets stronger and stronger, and this point is just one possible shock with some pressure P2 bigger than P1. A very weak shock would have P2 just a little bit bigger than P1. Well, as I said, the Hugoniot equation that we derived is valid for any gas. Now let's simplify it for an ideal gas. We plug in our ideal gas law and any other ideal gas simplifications as needed. And again, sparing you all the algebra, you can rewrite the Hugoniot equation as P2 over P1 equal gamma plus 1 over gamma minus 1, ρ2 over ρ1 minus 1, over gamma plus 1 by gamma minus 1, minus ρ2 over ρ1. This I'll call equation 7, which is the Hugoniot equation for an ideal gas. Note that this equation 7 is yet another equation for the pressure ratio P2 over P1 across the shock. Let's verify this at our standard test case, which was M1 equal 2.60 and gamma equal 1.40. From previous lessons, we had ρ2 over ρ1 equal 3.44898 at this Mach number and ratio of specific heats. And when you plug in this density ratio and gamma, we get P2 over P1 equals 7.7200, which is the same as what we got previously with Fano and with Rayleigh, and with the compressible aerodynamics calculator. So we verified that this Hugoniot equation is correct. Again, notice that there's no Mach number in this Hugoniot equation. It's purely thermodynamics, although we use the Mach number to get the density ratio here. Finally, we can plot the Hugoniot curve on a Mollier diagram, which, as you recall, is specific enthalpy H as a function of specific entropy S. And rather than trying to sketch this, I show an example from a previous homework problem where I pick some arbitrary point that I call 1, and the shock goes from 1 to 2, and as plotted previously, we have the Fano curve in blue, we have the Rayleigh curve in red, and as we see in our legend, the Hugoniot curve is this dashed green line, which turns out to be kind of a strange looking shape on a Mollier diagram. But as we see, the Fano and the Rayleigh and the Hugoniot curves all intersect at 1 and 2, state 1 being upstream of the shock and state 2 being downstream of the shock. And by the way, I plotted this in the exact same way that I plotted the other two, but with the ideal gas Hugoniot equation for the pressure ratio. Students taking my class will plot a similar curve, but with a different initial state 1. But qualitatively, the three curves should look something like this.
Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos.
1, 2, 3. That's all there is to it.